you're watching To The Point. As the Modi government completes 100 days in office, we ask, how should we assess its performance? With me to help answer that question is the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Urban Development, and also a former President of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Venkaiah Naidu. Mr. Naidu, let's start with the Prime Minister. I'll come to the government in a moment's time. Many people are extremely happy that we have a strong, decisive, assertive Prime Minister, a man who's in firm control of his government. But the flip side is people fear that maybe he's going to end up diminishing his ministers and become a one-man center of authority. How do you answer that concern?
It's unfair. We have just made a beginning. The Prime Minister is leader of the government. And then he has to give the needed direction. And he is functioning in a most democratic manner. I am a minister. I was minister with Atal Bihari Vajpayee. I am a minister now also. The amount of time he spends on discussion in cabinet really makes all of us feel that we are all partners in this decision-making process.
Let me explain why people are concerned about the amount of power Mr. Modi is acquiring. For instance, the procedure for the appointment committee has changed and the Home Minister no longer gives advice. He signs on the dotted line when it comes to him. Restrictions have been placed on who ministers can have as OSDs. You've also, in addition, got a Prime Minister who's taken to himself all important policies, so he can, whenever he wants, take away things from ministers, even though they keep the portfolio. And finally, he's told civil servants they can come directly to him, cutting ministers out of the loop.
What is wrong if a civil servant goes to Prime Minister? Prime Minister is Prime Minister of the country. And secondly, we are all comfortable with the present system. I don't find any problem at all because we have frank discussion and every minister is at liberty to pick up the phone and talk to the Prime Minister, meet the Prime Minister, and then exchange of ideas also. And he is giving time to each minister to explain his point of view with regard to his department. Presentations are made, guidance is being given, and then there is proper consultation and afterwards only decisions are taken.
But what about the appointments committee procedure being changed? The Home Minister now doesn't give advice. He signs on a dotted line after the Prime Minister has decided. He's become almost irrelevant to the process.
I don't think so. That's not the correct way of looking at things. There may be some procedural changes and all. That there are committees. We are all functioning within the cabinet committee system also. CCI is there, for example, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. We all sit there.
So the belief the Prime Minister is becoming increasingly powerful and ministers are losing their importance is a wrong belief?
It's a wrong belief because till yesterday there was a non-functional Prime Minister. Now there is a functional Prime Minister. From that end to this end, functional means functional 24/7. So some people are not able to digest it. Otherwise, I don't find, nobody in my cabinet is feeling like that.
Let me put it like this. It's not just the facts that I mentioned that are distressing or disturbing people. It's also the spate of rumors about your government that are proliferating. And all those rumors have just two things in common. A, they suggest the Prime Minister is spying on his ministers, and B, he's ringing them up like a big brother to tell them what to wear, who to have dinner with. And once again, people say, why is he interfering?
It's all funny. Total falsehood. All these stories that have appeared, including some of the stories written by prominent and sincere journalists also, I can say, because I don't want to doubt them, they are all carried away by this sort of rumors. This rumor mongering has become a habit. What can I do?
But you know, the rumor mongering involves ministers as senior as Rajnath Singh, Piyush Goyal, Prakash Javadekar, Dharmendra Pradhan, Ramvilas Paswan.
You can talk to all these ministers. The so-called rumors that are spread are being discussed in the coffee shops and restaurants and in the Central Hall of Parliament or wherever. They are all totally false. They have no basis whatsoever.
If they are totally false and they have no basis whatsoever, then they should be dismissed with the contempt they deserve. But instead, Mr. Rajnath Singh first went public to speak to the press. Then after that, the Prime Minister and Mr. Amit Shah issued statements. And suddenly, in that instance, a rumor that you called false and baseless became a huge story.
I don't want to join in a debate why minister has gone public, etc. But I can tell you, if consistently or persistently rumors are spread and they are being carried by prominent media, naturally it hurts the minister. That's why he has given that clarification.
Did he mishandle it in retrospect?
I will never make comments about my colleagues.
All right, I accept that, but it's a very interesting answer you're giving.
Party.
I understand. It's a very interesting answer you're giving. You're not saying he did mishandle it. You're not saying he handled it properly. You're simply saying you won't comment.
Don't go technically.
Okay.
It is the civility on the part of a minister not to make comment on his colleagues.
Let me put this to you. Do you think this whole lesson, the last 3 months, leads to the conclusion that maybe your government is keeping too aloof from the media. Maybe you need to speak to the media more often so that there's no information vacuum and rumors don't fill it up.
This is the way the sections of the media are adapting to get some sort of a news. Our point is the Prime Minister believes in work. Work, काम बोलता है. Work, then it speaks for itself. Wherever there is need, we are speaking to public through media only. Media is called for all the important public functions. Why should there be a regular media briefing by a minister? Within 3 months, not even 100 days are fully over, we are doing our duty, and then wherever there are public functions, media is very much there. Nothing prohibits media.
So there's no need to change this hands-off policy, this distance from the media that you
There is no question of distance at all. Wherever there is need, call the media. Wherever you have to function independently on your own, function it independently. We have not changed anything. Media want to encroach upon everything at every stage. I don't think that's the system.
But you are then, in a sense, keeping the media a little at a distance from you.
No, not at all. See, media want, for their commercial promotion or their professional this thing, they want to intervene at every stage. We are saying, let me do the work, then definitely we'll talk to you.
All right. Let's come then to a second issue that's arisen in the last 100 days that has worried people. It's the manner in which Mr. Modi called off Foreign Secretary level talks with Pakistan, particularly when everyone thought actually the relationship was improving, and he did it for something Pakistan has been doing for 2 decades, talking to her. Do you think that was a mistake?
No, not at all. Even I can tell you, that morning itself when I saw this news, I rang up External Affairs Minister. External Affairs Minister told me consultation is going on, something will come out by afternoon. Afternoon this decision was taken because the mood of the nation is that we must give a strong message to Pakistan.
Let me tell you why I asked this question. It was Mr. Modi who invited Nawaz Sharif to India. It was Mr. Modi who tweeted warmly about their conversation at dinner. It was Mr. Modi who started this transaction of sending gifts to each other's mother. And finally, it was the Indian Foreign Secretary who took the initiative to set a date for the Foreign Secretary level talks. And everyone looking at this said, there is clearly a new approach to Pakistan.
Yeah.
And they welcomed it. Then suddenly, Mr. Modi did an abrupt U-turn and called off talks for something Pakistan has been doing since '95.
When a new initiative is taken and a good beginning has been made, Pakistan also should reciprocate in the same way. They should also understand the sentiments within the country. It is for the Pakistan to answer this question. We are committed to have good relations with Pakistan, but at the same time, you know, terror and talks cannot go together. A message is gone. Don't worry. Pakistan will realize it, and we will definitely talk to Pakistan at an appropriate time.
Well, you say you'll definitely talk to Pakistan at an appropriate time, but people turn around and say, now that you've made not talking to Hurriyat a precondition for talks, have you set the bar so high that talks are going to be very difficult?
Is it a major issue for Pakistan? Do they want to have good relations with India, or they want to have relations with only Hurriyat? Let the Pakistan decide. I can tell you, Sri Karan ji hold a public opinion. 99% of the people of India will be supporting the government's action in this.
I tell you what the problem is. Pakistan believes that its policy is one of moral and democratic commitment to the Kashmir cause, and they believe talking to Hurriyat flows from that. Now, what you're asking them to do is change their policy. They may be prepared to change it as an outcome of the talks, but can they change it as a precondition to talking?
The question is, how many times we had talks? They have understood also. So, why Pakistan is behaving in this fashion? Who is in control in Pakistan as on today? We are not clear. As far as we are concerned, we are clear. We want to have good relations with our neighbor, and we don't want neighbors to interfere in each other's internal affairs. That is the message.
Let me ask you this. Pakistan has now said that the ball is in India's court. If talks are to happen, India will have to take the initiative.
Choice is theirs. Let us wait.
Will the Prime Minister seek some sort of meeting with Nawaz Sharif when they are both together in New York at the end of this month?
Foreign policy approaches cannot be decided in a press conference or an interview. That has to be decided at an appropriate level. And I don't want to enter the domain where I'm not supposed to take decision or supposed to make comment.
You're an extremely clever minister who's also been a party spokesman who knows how to give an answer where at one level he's saying nothing and at another level he is saying something. And the level at which you are saying something is you're suggesting that in fact it's possible there could be talks, you're just not going to say yes or no.
I have no comment to make. It is for the Prime Minister, it is for the External Affairs Minister to decide when to talk, what to talk, how to talk.
Let me bring up a third issue that has arisen in the last 100 days. It's your government's decision to appoint the former Chief Justice of India as Governor of Kerala. Now, legal luminaries that you and I both respect, like Fali Nariman, Soli Sorabji was in fact Solicitor General and Attorney General in your government, and former Chief Justice Khare, have gone on public record to say that this is setting a bad precedent because A, it could undermine the way the public look at the judiciary, and B, it could damage the independence of the judiciary. Why did you appoint Justice Sathasivam a governor?
See, what is wrong in appointing a former judge or a chief justice as governor of a particular state, I am not able to understand. I have all the respect for the great legal luminaries you have mentioned. Secondly, is it the first time? Mr. Ranganath Misra, who was the Chief Justice, was appointed as a nominated member to Rajya Sabha.
And Fazal Ali in the 50s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Should you follow bad practices of the past?
I don't accept it's a bad practice. If you want to totally redefine the system of appointing governors, then there are systems where you appoint defeated people as governors. You are appointing political appointees and they are coming back and joining political parties. They are becoming something in their party. The entire system can be revisited. Let there be a consensus in the country where all political parties accept, okay, these are the parameters, etc. But whether the person who has been appointed as a governor, is he fit to be a governor or not? And I feel Justice Sadasivan is known for his integrity, for his commitment to the rule of law, and he knows the constitution, and he will be very much useful to be governor of Kerala and to maintain good relations between the state and centre.
Not for a moment am I questioning Justice Sathasivam's personal capabilities and his personal talent and whether he personally is fit to be governor. I have no doubt he is. I'm actually questioning the principle of appointing retired judges and chief justices. And let me explain why.
Let there be debate, sir. Let there be debate and let there be consensus. Why people are giving pravachan to us? Having kept quiet all these days.
Because you're the government and people
Agreed.
look to you to do things differently.
We have not done anything wrong. If I have done something wrong, if he has violated any constitutional provision, then somebody can take me to task. Or if you have appointed a wrong person, you are saying, okay, this is not an ideal situation, this is an ideal situation. On that there can be debate.
It's not just me. Let me quote you Arun Jaitley writing in his blog September 2012. This is what he said. I have held a strong view that judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts must not be eligible for jobs in the government after retirement. And you know the reason why? He says, in some cases, the pre-retirement judicial conduct of a judge is influenced by the desire to get a post-retirement assignment. And what he's saying is very simple. If it becomes practice that judges will become governors after retirement, then you will begin to give them an incentive to behave as judges and to pass judgments to favor the government in the hope that then they will get a job. And that will undermine the independence of the judiciary. It will undermine the image of the judiciary. And this is Arun Jaitley.
No, see, in ideal situation, one can think about all this. First of all, try to understand that if you want to evolve certain norms, not only about judiciary, about even the other posts that are being held and subsequently those people are being appointed to some other governmental assignment and all. On this, there can be debate and then we can all arrive at a consensus and then one can follow it.
You know, it's not just Arun Jaitley. Nitin Gadkari in 2012, when he was very much BJP president, went on record to say that judges should only be considered for posts in the gift of the government after 2 years have lapsed after their retirement. Justice Sathasivam retired 5 months ago. What was the hurry? Wait a year and a half. You'll still have 3 more years of your government. Make him a governor then. Why do it now, just 5 months later?
My point is very simple, sir. These are all suggestions and then these are all ideas. Some of them are ideal ideas also, I do agree. But at the same time, there is no bar in appointing any of these people unless we are able to come to certain sort of a consensus. This generation, you cannot accuse us of doing something wrong.
In many things there is no bar, not a legal bar, not even a bar of a rule. But there are proprieties. There are proprieties that good governments recognize and observe. And people say, this was a propriety they expected Mr. Modi
to take note of this.
For the future?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me then come to the economy. You know better than I that for many people is the main reason why most people voted for the BJP and for Mr. Modi in particular. They were hoping not just for dramatic, but for transformational change. Now, what we've seen is faster decision making. I totally accept that. Better implementation. I totally accept it. More responsive, cooperative bureaucracy. But what it adds up to is good governance. And people ask, is good governance enough to take us back to 8% growth?
No, mere good governance will not suffice. You need development. You need to create wealth. You need to remove impediments in the way of growth. So for that you need time, sir. Our Congress friends and others also are criticizing, अच्छा दिन कहाँ है, ये क्या हुआ, वो क्या नहीं हुआ. इतना आसान है तो why they have not done it in the last 10 years?
Minister.
My point is simple. See, we are trying to bring back the economy on rails, and you are seeing the change already happening. There is no policy paralysis. Quick decisions are taken. Now the growth is 5.7%. During Atal Bihari Vajpayee, it was 8.4%.
You can't claim
I am not
credit
claiming
for
it.
5.7.
My point is, see, 8.4% growth we left and we demoted the office in 2004. And this government handed over to us 4.6%.
In between, it was at 9% too. Don't forget that for 3 years.
No, it was 9% too. But at the end of the story, what we inherited, I am talking of fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, trade deficit, current account deficit, trust deficit, everywhere, in every sector. Now we brought back the confidence now and the trust.
You're speaking my language. It's because of the inheritance that you received that there is something more that's needed, and that is something that time won't deliver. What's needed is major reform. And it's not just, let me finish and then you answer, it's not just me. Industrialists and economists are saying that the big structural reform that the economy needs, if growth is going to happen, if meaningful sustained growth above 8% is going to happen, that reform is not happening. And I'll give you 4 examples. Your government is not talking about labour law reform at all. Rajasthan is, but it's not the central government. Here you're only tinkering at the margins. Retrospective taxation has not been repealed. All you've done is to promise you won't do it again. Land acquisition laws are not going to be amended. You're simply going to add to the exemption list. And even GST, which Arun Jaitley repeatedly says is critical, he's refused to set a date in the budget for its implementation, and even after the budget he refuses to set a date. And people turn around and say, in all these things, where's the boldness?
Hey, do you
boldness?
expect all these things happen within 3 months of time? Is it that much simple? You have to take the country along with you. You have to take the opposition along with you. You see what has happened to the reform in the insurance sector and that how it got blocked in Rajya Sabha. Secondly, the government of India is moving in right direction. That has been recognized by everybody. Labour laws, for your information, Cabinet has approved certain labour laws amendments, and they are now before the
Parliament. Mainly to do with apprenticeship, mainly to do with overtime.
One after another, step by step.
The Industrial Disputes Act hasn't been tackled.
You cannot act in haste. There are people who are talking about reforms. There are people who are talking of performance. People are happy with the performance. Reforms also are coming slowly.
I'll tell you.
Sir, I will tell you one thing. Even if you are in a hurry and work hard, to get children, it will take 9 months. If I have to tell common man's language. If I have to tell it common man's language.
God forbid you're an elephant, it takes 22 months.
Yeah.
And let's hope we don't behave like an elephant, because then the time delay is longer. But I'll tell you my concern. People say they want time, but often what happens with time is governments lose the appetite for radical reform.
There is no question of losing appetite. This government, this Prime Minister, these ministers, we are all committed for reforms. We want to revive the economy. We want to better the lives of the people of the country. And we want to take the country in developmental growth. And you will see, ask me this question at the end of 5 years, the growth will reach 9%.
My last question on this subject. Are you making a promise to me that you have the appetite for reforms?
Definitely.
And we will have major reform.
We are committed and we will definitely have reforms, and we want to get full support, even the states also, so that we get majority in Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is becoming an impediment because my Congress friends who propose the laws are opposing the same. Keeping that in mind, we want to get majority in Rajya Sabha also, so that we can push reforms in a more speedy manner.
In which case, the last issue I want to raise in this interview with you, and it's one of concern and distress to many people, and I'm totally confident that the Venkaiah Naidu sitting in front of me will share that distress and concern. It's the rhetoric that is coming from many of your party leaders in UP. I want to ask you 2 questions about that. First of all, does Venkaiah Naidu believe that Indian Muslims in UP are launched on a love jihad, that they are luring innocent Hindu girls into marriage to convert them to Islam? Do you really believe that?
I have not made any comment like that. So how do you expect me to react on that? Number one, the question is, in India, Muslims and Hindus we have to live together. We are all equal citizens. And if there are issues, the community leaders should sit together and discuss and sort out the issues.
I'm very happy to hear your answer, because I'm going to quote you what your colleague Sangeet Singh Soam said in the Indian Express and the Hindu yesterday and today. He says, love jihad is being done in a planned manner with the involvement of terror outfits. Then he adds, we are concerned at the fact that youths of a particular community are being trained with the involvement of terror groups to lure Hindu girls and then marry them in order to convert them.
He may be talking about some isolated incidents here and there, maybe of his area or not, I don't know. But that's not the case with the general public in India. People in India, Muslims and Hindus, are living very cohesively, happily, and all efforts should be made to see that the misunderstanding, if any, is removed and the law takes its own course.
Mr. Naidu, yours is a very welcome voice of reason that the people of India will be very happy to hear. Let me ask you for one more comment. I want to ask you to comment on what Lakshmikant Bajpai, not just an ordinary MLA like Som, but your party UP president has said about rape. Clearly alluding to Indian Muslims, he says, have they got the certificate to rape girls because they belong to a particular religion? And then he adds, 99.99%, mark that, sir, 99.99% of the accused are Muslims. Should your party president...
No, alluding, like I don't know from where it has come.
Secondly, Indian Express, 24th of August.
Secondly, if at all he has said this, I don't agree with him.
I'm very happy to hear that.
I don't agree with him at all.
You completely...
Rape has no religion. Terror has no religion. They are crimes and they should be curbed. And terror is anti-national. Whoever is involved in that, tough action should be taken, irrespective of his color, irrespective of his religion.
Let me tell you, tens of millions of Indians, maybe hundreds of millions of Indians will be hugely relieved, happy to hear you say, I disagree with Lakshmikant Bajpai.
Definitely. If what you quoted is right, I definitely disagree with him. I have been the president of the party. I know what is the thinking of the party.
Can I ask you?
I'm a senior party functionary and also a senior government functionary. I am very clear, government is very clear.
Can I ask you one question? Some people are perplexed. Why hasn't Mr. Modi spoken out? People would have thought he'd want to distance himself from this rubbish.
No, every day is it necessary for the Prime Minister to speak. As and when he speaks, he is appealing to the people of the country and is prioritizing what to do and what not to do. Even on small issues, social issues, economic issues, he is trying to address them.
I completely accept that it's not essential for the Prime Minister to speak every day. But he got so much applause for his comments on Independence Day when he spoke with passion about communal harmony, brotherliness, togetherness. He called for a moratorium of 10 years on communal...
So on one hand you are saying he has not spoken,
no.
He spoke about it.
The question,
so somebody here and there makes some comment.
The question I'm making is this, that if after that statement on Independence Day, just 12 days later, these gentlemen speak up the way they have, and sadly it's not just Lakshmikant Bajpai, your colleague Kalraj Mishra said similar things, Yogi Adityanath had. People say if the Prime Minister doesn't then speak out and distance himself, people will ask, A, did he not mean what he meant on Independence Day, or B, does he want the BJP to speak in two voices?
People have total confidence in the Prime Minister, one. Secondly, BJP is very clear. Whatever needs to be said, the BJP is saying it. If one of my spokesperson at the national level of the party has said something which is objectionable, then one can debate and discuss it. You are quoting certain statements attributed to certain individuals. We have no scope for veracity of the same.
UP party president.
I agree with you, but I don't have any to verify whether exactly what he has said has been correctly reported or twisted or reported.
But you disagree with it if it's been said.
Yeah, if it is said, I am telling you on record. No, I disagree.
And your government disagrees.
And my government disagrees.
And your Prime Minister disagrees.
Naturally. I am saying government, Prime Minister is the head of the government, but you won't expect a Prime Minister to react on each and every issue.
Mr. Naidu, I readily, happily accept what you're saying. My only comment is, I wish someone important and senior in your government had said this earlier, because your countrymen sometimes want to hear senior people in authority say, that's rubbish, that's not my position. It clarifies the situation, it removes doubt. Can I give you a bit of advice? In future, when people like this speak out of turn, please promptly point out they don't represent you.
Okay, whatever party has to say, party will be saying from time to time. Whatever some of us, the government or in the party has to react, will be reacting. I take your advice.
Minister, for speaking so clearly and reassuring so many people, and for this interview. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.